what are we doing when we work so hard? Sometimes it feels a little bit illogical. Like this is just doesn't make so much sense. You just clean, you be normal. But I grew up, my mother does a deep cleaning. She really gets to it in the details. She takes out the toothpicks and the fork and the every little area. And that's Pesach. That's the preparation for Pesach, is making sure there's no Chometz in the house. And what is that all about? What is Chometz? Let's have a little bit of a Hasidic view on what is bread, what is matzah, what's the difference, and what is, by not eating physical bread, that's the mitzvah. But what is the bread representing? What is it that God's trying to accomplish by us not eating bread? What is that doing for the ultimate goal? Because no matter what we talk about, if it's Sukkot, if it's Pesach, if it's Rosh Hashanah, if it's mezuzah, if it's kosher, whatever it is we talk about, if it's needing to make a living, if it's health, any subject in our life is all serving one purpose. Everything is here for the one goal. We don't have many goals in our life. And I love always bringing our conversation back to the one main point. And once we have that one main point clear, then we see, well, then how does Pesach fit in? How does Sukkot fit in? What part is Shavuos playing? Everything has its part in serving the one main goal of creation. And by doing that, you don't have a fragmented life. You don't have like your regular practical life, and then there's your spiritual life, and then there's your entertainment, and then there's your vacations, and then there's your family. It's all one. Everything is connected. And like we've been talking about in our class, and we'll fill you in, like we've been talking about, what could a perfect God create a world for? Why would a perfect God who needs nothing go ahead and create? Like, what's the point? So if we're going to start the conversation with us, like, what is Pesach doing in my life? What is it? I have a busy, busy, fragmented life, and then Pesach comes and it brings some peace, or it gives me a break, or it gives me a new look, or it brings meaning. That's looking from the inside. And I'm like, oh, where do I find myself? And how does Pesach fit in? But really, we want to start, it doesn't begin with us. That's once we're here. But who put us here? And once we're here, we need a lot of help from God. And we reach out to him and we ask him to help and we thank him for his help. But that's once we're here. Why put us here? So important to understand that. So, so important to be able to have no doubt about the reason we're here. And not only no doubt, deep understanding. And this is the teachings of the Rebbe are always going back to the beginning. So if we discuss it just really quickly so we can get right back to Pesach, but just a little review for our new friends. Why would God create? What could God be after? If you're perfect, what do you need?
Us. He needs us.
You don't need anything, but you're still, even if you are perfect, it's still just you. And God said, what's the point of all of my perfection if it's just for me? I don't care that I'm amazing. I don't care that I'm talented, that I'm all powerful, that I have perfect existence that's not dependent on anything. What's the point? Just to be me is not a life. And so God's purpose for creation and God's desperate purpose for creation, like this is really important to him, is the need for someone else in his life, someone else to be with, partnership, relationship. It was the feeling of, and it's not just for any random person. It's, I need you. I need you in my life. Without you, what's the point? It's extremely personal, the reason for creation, not practical at all. God is not looking for something from us. He's looking for us. But then why does he give us all these things to do? Because the things he asks us to do is just an invitation to join him where he is. where he says, I want you to come and I want to give you my Torah so that you know exactly who I am and you know exactly where I am and what I'm thinking about and um, what I'm doing every moment of every day of the year. What do I like? What do I not like? I want you to know me and I want you to join me. So for example, God says every seventh day I rest, but I rest alone. What's the point of resting alone? And resting alone doesn't mean God takes a break from hard work. What does resting mean? Resting means stops to focus on his purpose, stops to enjoy his purpose for creation. And God says, but I'm stopping to enjoy it alone. I want to stop and enjoy my purpose of creation together with my purpose of creation. You are the one I want to be together with. So come be at the Shabbos table with me. Celebrate Shabbos with me. And that's what every mitzvah is. And when we come to Pesach, God says, I'm remembering, and I'm thinking about the freedom where I came to Egypt to take you out of slavery and bring you home to where you belong. Because what is true freedom? What would true freedom be? True freedom is not, now you're not working for Pharaoh. Now come and do whatever you'd like. What country do you want to live in? How do you want to spend your time? You're free to go. Would that feel like freedom? To be able to do anything, be anywhere, be with anyone. Would that feel free? Would that be the ultimate freedom? Why?
Because I don't know that you would feel like you have purpose and fulfillment in doing that. When you can do whatever you want all the time. Even with that, you get bored and you're like, well, why am I here? What's the purpose of being here? What's the meaning of it all?
Right. And you're always, no matter what path you're picking, it's always like, well, I'm living here, but I don't need to live there. I could be somewhere else. Maybe I should be somewhere else. I'm in California. Maybe I should be in Florida. I'm in Florida. Maybe we should move to Israel. I'm in Israel. I think my friend is in Argentina and she talks about what's going on there. And you're right, there is always benefit in other places. And why should we be here if we could be there? And that leaves doubt. There's always going to be doubt when you're doing something that's not absolutely necessary. It's just nice. It's not necessary. Welcome. So, and that's why when we sit down at the Pesach Seder, we celebrate our freedom. Our freedom doesn't mean I could be anywhere, I could do anything. I'm not working for Pharaoh anymore. Your freedom means you know exactly, we spoke about this last week, right? We know exactly where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be doing, who we're supposed to be with, no doubts, and nothing is stopping me from being with the who, the what, the where that I belong. So I know my purpose and nothing is stopping me, like Pharaoh was holding them back from being where they belong. The Jews don't belong in Egypt. They belong in Israel. They don't belong working all day long for Pharaoh. They were created to be in a relationship with God. They must be available to God or they're not doing their purpose. So the Jews' pain in Egypt wasn't just the pain of hard work, which is what we usually emphasize when teaching the story to children, the hard work, which is true to how hard it was. But that wasn't the deepest pain. The pain was, we're not where we belong. We're not serving the one who desperately needs us, essentially. And we're not doing what's needed of us. So it's the who, the what, and the where that is not optional. Before we were created, there was a who that needs us, there was a where, and there was a what that is absolutely needed from us. And to be free is to have nothing stopping you. So this holiday of Pesach is the fundamental step in the beginning of the purpose of creation happening. It started with Abraham and his children, but then being in Egypt and yearning to be out and God personally coming to say, come, I'm bringing you home. I'm taking you to become my nation, officially starting the relationship. This is the beginning of it all. And and what was keeping us away was an external force. Pharaoh was keeping us away from where we belong. And somebody outside of us, God came and took us out of that force that was keeping us away. But since we left Egypt forever and ever, we nothing or no one can ever fully enslave us and make us unavailable to serve God. Because once God came and took us out, now there's always a way out. It doesn't mean that there won't be more blockages, but it means there is a way out. You always have the freedom to serve God. And what is one of the biggest blockages to serving God today? It's not the country, it's not the government. So what really keeps us away from serving God today? Yeah, the distractions and ourselves, our own sense of ego, our own sense of my agenda. What do I need to get done today? That starting your day with your to-do list, which we always talk about sunlight and moonlight, right? That's another one of our favorite themes is the sunlight is the what. What do I have to do? And you start with your to-do list, especially with Pesach coming. There's so much to do. But then it becomes heavy and it becomes self-serving. It's like I have a to-do list and nobody get in my way. I have to get my list done. But it's not the truth. The truth is that I have no agenda. I have no needs. Pesach is not my need. Health is not my need. Survival is not my need. All of that is God's need from me. He needs me to exist. He needs me to be healthy. He needs me to join him on Pesach. So it's not my to-do list. And we remember that if we don't start with sunlight, but we start with moonlight, just like every Jewish day begins at night and then comes the sun. Today started last night, which means never start your day with a to-do list. Every day begins with the why, with the part of the day that's not obvious. What's obvious is what needs to happen. What's not obvious is who needs it to happen. Who needs this to happen really? Why am I doing this? And when you remember the why and the who, that this is God's world and his plan, and I'm here for him. And when that's your starting point, when you start with moonlight, with the non-obvious of the world and of my day, then the sun can rise in the morning. Then you open up your to-do list. Then you see everything that needs to happen for your home, for Pesach, for your appointments. That's fine because you're centered. It's not heavy. It's not like I have this image that I have to keep up. And if I don't keep it up, what's going to happen? I have no image. God has a need from me today. Let me try my best to show up, to be available. And then you have a feeling of freedom. Nothing's keeping me from doing everything he needs from me today. Nothing's stopping me. I'm free to be where I'm needed. It's the best feeling. But if you start with sunlight and you start with a heavy to-do list, it's not freedom. It's like, oh my gosh, this is torture. I just want to go on vacation. Look how many things I have to do. This is so many tasks because it's all about what. But when you remember the who, when you remember it's bigger than you, and remember it's your home. Where's your home? Your home is not a physical space. Your home is the who needs me, what do they need from me, and where do they need me? And nothing's stopping me. I can open up my to-do list and I can go ahead and go. I'm free. I'm free to be where I'm needed. And on a regular day where maybe we're not connected to the moonlight and we're just seeing the to-do list, we might feel like, oh, I just need a vacation from all this work. But if you're on vacation and you find out that you're needed at home, what does that feel like? Much more stressful because I'm sitting and relaxing and I could do whatever I want. but I'm really needed at home. Something's happening. They need me and I can't be there. That's the worst feeling of all. That's called exile. Exile is when I'm needed somewhere and I can't get there. I can't be available. But once we were taken out of exile once by God, then we're never enslaved again. There's always a way out. And that's why when we celebrate the Seder, we're not supposed to celebrate and remember the story like it happened a long time ago. I'm remembering. It's not about what happened then. It's about what's happening right now. And it says in the Haggadah, the days of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yamim, not the day. There was one day that they left, but it's the days because we're still coming out. We have our own little Pharaoh blocking us, but we also have our own little Moses inside of us that frees us. And that little voice inside of us that's not controlled by ego, that knows what's true, the voice inside our soul, that knows why we're here, wants nothing more than serving its purpose. That's the Moshe that says, come out of your own exile. Let's go to freedom. Freedom is where are we needed? Who needs me? Nothing has to get in the way. So we celebrate the Seder as hopefully through our preparations for Pesach, through all the work that we do to get to Pesach, to prepare everything needed for the Seder, to clean the house, to get rid of the bread and the Chometz. By doing that, when we finally get to the Seder, we actually feel free. We don't feel like, oh, okay, what do I have to do? Let me count the steps. Let's get through this. Let's get done with this. Because then you're not home. If you experience the Seder as like a chore that we just have to get through, it's not the feeling of freedom. It's not the feeling of, there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be right now. For a Jew on Passover, we have the ability to sit at that Seder, and there's nowhere else in the world I need to be at that moment. There's nowhere else. Where would I rather be? At a ball game? I'd rather be shopping, but where would I rather be? At the beach? No, I'm Jewish, and it's Pesach, and I'm where I belong. I'm at the Seder. And who am I with? I'm with my family, and we all got together. I'm with God, with my family, with my friends, with my community. Where would I rather be? And what am I doing? The steps of the Seder, eating matzah. On a regular night, do you enjoy eating matzah? I don't know. Matzah tastes a little dry and not so enjoyable on other nights of the year. But on Pesach, when you take that first bite of matzah, it's like, it's the feeling of coming home. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to do with it. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. And if you can have that experience, you're experiencing freedom. You're experiencing what it feels like to be free. Nothing's stopping me. But the real blockage today is our ego. That you could be at the Seder and you can be like, I'd really just rather be in bed right now. I'm so tired. And it's true, we are tired. By the time you get to the first Seder, you're so tired. But that tired feeling is not allowing you to feel at home. It's a distraction. It's like, I don't want to be here right now. I'd rather be in bed. So now we're not feeling free. How do we prepare for the Seder so that being at the Seder, eating matzah should make me feel free? What is it about matzah that makes you feel free? It's just what Jews are supposed to be doing on that first night of Pesach. It's what we're supposed to be eating. But how do you appreciate that so that you can experience that feeling of being home? And that's where we get to the cleaning for Pesach. When we clean for Pesach, the Chometz represents ego. It's like the inflated, the bread that rises. And the matzah represents humility, flat. So we have this chart that, thank you, Ahuva, for redesigning it. There's one side is Chometz and one side is matzah. So I want to, I'm supposed to write on the sides. I don't know, we have some pens here. What Chometz represents and what matzah represents. Chometz represents not just your normal sense of I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need to go take care of some practical needs. Chometz inside of us is the feeling of illogical devotion to self. If you want, you can write that down. There's 2 pens here we can pass around. Chometz is illogical devotion to self. When you say, I'm tired, I need to go take a nap, is that chometz? Or is that very logical? Very logical. You're taking the time to go rest. There's nothing wrong with that. But when what's something that we would do that I want it, and even if everyone tells me why it's not good for me and why it's harmful for me, I say, I don't care. I want it. I'm doing what I want, even if it's going to hurt me, right? There's many examples we can think of things that we do because we're so devoted to our desires, but we're not thinking logically. Like, I remember hearing that the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe's father-in-law, he used to smoke. And when he came to America and the doctor told him why it's harmful for him, he never smoked again. And it was like, once you know, why would I do it? But I know, and I still want to. Why? Because I have to do what I want. I have to do what I want. I don't have an option. I'm that devoted to myself, illogically devoted. How do you take chometz out of you? How do you deal with your chometz? If I come and tell you why it's not good for you, and I start using logic to explain to you logically why it's not good to be illogical, it's not going to do anything because I'm talking to your illogical voice with logic. So this is what's so amazing. And when we're talking about this chart, you can also apply it to any relationship because Pesach is coming as an anniversary of our relationship with God, when God came to take us and bring us to be his. And we restart that every year. Every year we remember, wow, God, you came, you wanted us, you took us out. We said yes. This is a beautiful personal relationship. Let's restart. Because during the year, just like with every anniversary, throughout the year, a lot of ego creeps in and there's separation between us and God, or between a husband and wife, where their wedding anniversary, they remember how they chose to be married and they remember how they chose each other and how beautiful, and they celebrate. But what happens through daily life on a regular basis? Ego creeps in, and why do you do this? And why do you do that? And I like this, or I don't like that. And there's separation. And anniversary is like, let's restart from the beginning. Remember why we married each other and how we want to have a family and we wanted someone in our life, not just something. I don't care that you're not perfect. I wanted you, not just something from you. That's an anniversary. An anniversary is remembering that this relationship that we're in is not practical. It's personal. And therefore, even though the year was up and down, and even though there's things I like or don't like about you, I still choose you. I chose you and I continue to choose you. You as you are, with your imperfections. I was missing someone in my life, my male part, and I have you. That's the celebration. The celebration is that we have each other. This is more than logic. Relationships are really illogical. They're very personal. So if you're going to, but throughout the year, chometz and ego will get in the way. And what's the worst thing for marriage? The worst thing for marriage is illogical devotion to yourself. I don't care about what you want. I only do what I want. How's a marriage supposed to survive if we're operating from our chometz? It's not, it can't. You don't matter, just what I want. And even if it's going to hurt me to be mean to you, because you're not going to want to be married to me if I'm mean to you, but I say what I want to say. That's what I do. That's me. I just have to express myself. That doesn't work in a relationship. So how are we going to help this marriage, whether between husband and wife or whether between us and God, when our chometz creeps in? And it always will, because we have an illogical voice inside of us. So this is where 1 week out of the year, we have this anniversary week And for 1 week, we go to the opposite extreme of Chometz. We're not going to be logically nice to our husbands or logically nice to God. What are we going to do? What's matzah represent? Flat matzah. What do you think? Let's start it. Illogical devotion to God or to the other, to our husbands, to God, to the other one in the relationship. I'm going to be crazy devoted to you. On a regular day, we don't operate like that. We do what kind of makes sense. But how are you getting rid of the chametz that's getting in the way of your relationship? For 1 week, let's go to the opposite extreme. Let's be illogically devoted to each other. Nothing has to make sense. We just have to be there for each other. And that's what we do with Hashem. And that's where we say, I won't even eat bread that rises because it's representing ego. I want nothing to do with ego. I want to have no sense of self for 1 week. But you can't live off of matzah all year, or you can't live flat like that all year. You know why? Because your husband actually wants to be married to you. Do you have a personality? Do you have an opinion? Who are you? He wants you in the relationship, or who's he married to? But in order to center yourself, to be able to have a sense of self, I'm me, I have an opinion, but I don't worship my opinion. I have space for your opinion in my life too. How do you live with an opinion, but not a slave to your opinion? That's the regular year where you can eat bread, but you elevate bread. You make a blessing on bread. You don't act like bread. How do you elevate bread? By using bread representing ego or opinion. So I have an opinion and I have a sense of self, but this sense of self is going to help you, going to be in a relationship with you. I need a sense of self in order to connect to you. So I'm elevating my ego. I'm elevating that I have that could separate me from you, but instead I'm going to use it to connect to you. So that's like eating bread after Pesach. But for that 1 week of Pesach, I can't even have a sense of self. I can't have an opinion because I'm so devoted to my opinion that if I notice it, you'll stop existing. So that's the flat matzah that we want to be like for that 1 week of Pesach. And at least for the first night of Pesach. That for that first night, we come to the seder after cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, which cleaning the house is representative of cleaning our insides. And we know just that like, oh, it looks like my house has no chametz. I don't see any. But if I start looking in corners, I bet I'll find, right? So we can say, I'm a good person. I'm very good in my relationships. I'm devoted. Dig a little bit. Trust me, you'll find where your ego is getting in the way. And before Pesach, that's what we like to do. We like to do a little bit of digging. Don't do it all year long. But before Pesach, do a little digging and be honest with yourself of where your ego is getting in the way of your relationship and how you could clean out a little bit and things will be smoother and better and more united. So by the time we get to the Pesach Seder, the first night, we have the ability to be the cleanest that we ever will be all year long with no ego, the most humble. And that's why we follow the steps of the Seder. Because if God wouldn't tell us what to do, when you have no ego and no opinion, what do? I don't know. Tell me what to do. I'll do it. I have no agenda, no opinion. I don't know what to do. And that's the idea of the Seder. The 15 steps of the Seder is, okay, bless the wine, wash your hands, dip in and feel this, taste the tears of the Jews in Egypt. God is telling us exactly what to do because we're so clean of no ego. We don't know what to do. And it's a very good feeling to just follow the order. I don't know. On a regular night, like, I don't know, some people like to start their meal this way. Some people like to start it that way. But here on the Seder night, every Jewish home all over the world is following these steps. It's an amazing humility of the Jewish people. I don't have an opinion. I'm following what you tell me to do. But by the second night of Passover, what did we already start to do? What did we start to count? The Omer. And when you count the Omer, which is from the first night from the second night of Pesach until Shavuos, it's 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. How many weeks is it? 7 weeks? 7 weeks, yeah. 7 weeks. And what's happening in those 7 weeks? We count the days leading up to the giving of the Torah. And each night that we count, we say, do you remember it? Have you done the counting in Hebrew? Where you actually say another one of these terms that are on the chart, which is the emotional qualities of the soul. So I'm going to explain to you what they are. There's seven emotional qualities that God gives us to be able to connect to others, to be able to connect to Him, to be able to have marriage, parenting, everything. We're able to have a relationship because of these talents of our soul. And every night of counting these 7 weeks, we say another one. It's 7 qualities, but we break the 7 into, let's say the first of the 7 is chesed, which is generosity. So there's chesed, plain chesed. Then there's chesed together with gevura, chesed together with tiferes, chesed together with the other qualities. So we'll talk about this closer to Shavuos, but basically we say another emotional quality every night that we count. What are we doing when we say them? We're basically putting our personality back together. Because by the first night of Passover, we have no emotions. I have nothing. I'm just like a blank, clean, empty cabinet where I took all the dishes out and now I'm empty. And then we put the dishes back in, but this time that we put them back in, there's no crumbs. It's a clean cabinet. The plates are clean. We put them back where they belong. So we put our emotions back inside of us. So by the time we get to the giving of the Torah, we are a full personality and we have our whole self back. And as an individual with an opinion and with feelings, we now receive the Torah from God. But now we're not a slave to our emotions. We know how to use our emotions correctly. They're Pesachdik.